Welcome back. This is lesson 6.4, Solve Simple Percent Applications. This lesson is part of Math 020 pre-algebra course taught at St. Louis Community College. The recording is made by Dr. Victoria Shearing. In this lesson, we are going to define a simple interest, and then we're going to use simple interest to solve problems. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a formal definition of a simple interest. For this lesson, we are going to be working with the simple interest formula. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to define it. If the amount of money, P, the principal, is invested for a period of T years at an annual interest rate R, the amount of interest, I, earned is and here's the formula. I equals P times R times T. So that is our main formula that we will be working with. Okay. So where I is your amount of interest, P is the principal or the original amount of money invested. R is the interest rate. So the interest rate will be expressed as decimal. It will need to be converted to a decimal. And T is time, and the default measure for time in years. All right. According to this formula, the interest that is being earned is the simple interest. It's called simple interest because it only calculates per year, and in reality, in all the practicality, we hardly ever use the simple interest. But we're going to use it for this exercise. Okay. Let's look at a couple of examples now. So in the first one, we are asked to solve for the unknown value. So this will get us used to the formula and solving for the missing parts of the formula. So just a reminder, the interest formula is I equals P times R times T. Okay. So when you are asked to solve for the unknown value, you're going to start with writing down the formula. I equals P RT. So we have the R, which is 9%, but in our formula, the rate needs to be as a decimal. So we're going to rewrite that as 0.09. In the end, so we have the R, we have the I, we have the P, we do not have T. So let's go ahead and drop everything into this formula, replacing our variables with the given values. So instead of I, I'm going to use 540 equals, instead of the P is 4,000, so I'm going to drop my 4,000 there in place of P, times 0.09, which is my R, and then I have the missing variable, which is a T. All right. So the 4,000 times multiplied by 0.09, that is a number that we can find. So we're just going to multiply those two numbers, 0.09. So this 4,000 times 0.09 is 360. So we're going to simplify. So 540 equals 360 T. And at this point, it's a one-step equation. So I'm going to divide by 360. I'm going to have my t equals 1.5. So the answer is, missing value was t, which is time, and the answer is 1.5, a year and a half. Okay. So that is the model how to solve these problems. Step number 1, you're going to write the formula. Step number 2, you're going to drop all the known values in there for the replace all the known variables with the values. Look for what's missing, simplify and solve that equation. Okay. So we're going to pick up the pace here in number 2. So we're going to start with writing down the formula again. I have I equals P R T. I have the T, I have the I have the P. Looks like I'm missing I, which is going to be pretty, no, I'm not missing I am missing, I have the rate, R. Okay, so let's start with the I. So we have 180 equals 1500 times 3 times R. Right, so we have 180 equals 4500 times R. So we're going to divide everything by 4500. So R is 0.04. 0.04. So that is a decimal, right? So this is written as a decimal, and we can also rewrite that as a percent. So the R would be 0.04 is a 4%. So when you're doing your assignments online, please double check what they're asking you to do, what format answer that the problem is they would accept. Okay. So part C, we have T equals 9 months, R is 18.6%, and principal is 3,600. Okay. So start with writing down the formula, I equals PRT, right? So before I drop these values, I need to make sure that I am dropping them in the format that the formula expects. So the time needs to be expressed in years. I have 9 months. 9 months is 0.75 of a year. It's 3/4, 0.75 of the year. So I'm going to use 0.75 for T. And for R, I need to use the decimal, so I have 0.186 for the rate. So now I'm ready to drop everything. So I don't have the I. I'm going to be calculating that. I have 3,600 for principal times 0.186, which is the rate, times time, which is 0.75 expressed in years. Once you multiply those numbers, you have I equals 502 and 2/10. So what do we have? We have 502.2 as your answer. That's our missing value, the I. Okay. So now that we know how to plug everything into the formula and find the missing value, now we're ready to solve some word problems. So we're going to be looking at the scenario and doing those steps that we just did in the previous 3 examples. Okay, so let's look at example number 2. Irene deposited $2,500 in her bank at an interest rate of 8% for 2 years. How much interest did she receive? What is the balance in her account? So here it's going to be a 2-step problem. And the first step, we're going to find interest. And then step number 2, once we have the interest, find total amount. which will be P principal that we have, the starting balance, which is 2,500, plus interest. All right, so to find the interest, we are going to use I equals PRT. All right, so let's double check what we have, what values we have. So she deposited 2,500 in her bank, that's our P. Interest rate is 8%, so R equals 0.08, and then T equals 2 years. T equals 2. So those are our values. Okay, so I equals 2,500 times 0.08, and then times 2. So plug everything in there, and then multiply through to find your interest. The interest is $400. So we found our interest. Now we can find the total amount, which is principal plus interest. So we're going to take our 2,500 plus 400. After 2 years, she has 2,900 in her bank account. Right. So interest and the total. Example number 3. Mickey received $427.20 in interest on money deposited for 8 years at 6% interest. How much money did she deposit? Okay, so let's label all the numbers that we have. So Mickey received $427.20 in interest. So that's our I. Money deposited for 8 years, T equals 8, because it's years, so I don't need to convert. And interest rate is 6%, so as a decimal, it's 0.06. All right, so let's go ahead and write our I equals PRT. Okay, so we have 427.20 equals, we're going to have our P, we don't know the value, we're multiplying that by the rate, which is 0.06, and multiply that by T, which is 8. Next step is to simplify this equation. We're going to multiply 0.06 times 8, so I have 427.20 equals P times, and we're going to have 0.48. So, and then we're going to divide by what we're multiplying P, divide by 0.48, 0.48, and then we will have 890 equals P. That's our answer. Okay, next example. Floyd borrowed $1,000 for 18 months at a simple interest rate. If Floyd had to pay $187.50 in interest, what was the interest rate on the loan? All right. So start with labeling your numbers and then see which variable with the variables. So he borrowed 1,000, so that is going to be your principal. 18 months, that is your time. And then we have to convert 18 months into years, so 1.5 years. Okay, simple interest rate, we do not know what the interest rate was, but we do know that 187.50 is what he had to pay in interest, so that was I. So again, I equals P RT. So we have the P, T, and I, and we are going to find the R. So let's drop everything that we have into this equation. 187.5 equals 1,000 times 1.5 times R. So that's the missing variable. So we have 187.50 equals 1,000 times 1.5 gives you 1,500 times R. All right, so now we're going to divide everything by 1,500. Then we will have 0.125 equals R. So that's a decimal. So our rate, we're going to express that as a percent, 12.5%. All right, moving along. Problem number 5. Diego deposited $720 in the student depository for 7 months. If he received 5.5% interest on his deposit, how much interest did he earn? So let's go ahead and start with the I equals PRT. Label your numbers that you have in your problem. So he deposited 720, that's your P. 7 months, that's going to be a T. So here, there is no easy way to do this. So the 7 months, we are going to express as, so it needs to be converted. So I'm going to put the ellipsis here because I'm going to show you how to convert the 7 months. And then he received 5.5 interest on the deposit. So R equals 0.055. So that one is a decimal. All right. So how do we convert 7 months into years? There is no easy way to do it. We're just going to have to put it over 12 because it's going to be the part of the year. The whole year is 12 months. So we're going to go back to our fractions. So T equals 7 over 12. And then no problem here because we know that the fraction represents division. So all we have to do is divide 7 by 12. We will have 0.58, 0.58. All right. So there's also trailing threes. We can add that 3 just for better precision. So that one is repeats. That one repeats. So that's our team. Okay. So when we drop that into the problem, I'm only going to use the first 2 decimal points. So I'm not going to worry about that 3. All right. So here we are. So T equals 0.58. That's the number I'm going to use. So I do not have the interest. That's what I'm finding out. I have P as a 720. I have rate as 0.055. And I have T as 0.58. So we have 3 numbers that we need to multiply through, and we will find our interest amount. Interest equals 22.97, so $22.97. Okay. Example number 6, find the total amount due on a loan for $15,500 for 5 years at 2.5 interest rate. What is the monthly payment? Okay, let's think about it. So we are going to monthly interest payment. So we're going to find the interest for 5 years, the total interest, and then we will divide that by months. So step number 1. Step number 1, find interest. Find the total amount due on a loan for 5 years at 2.5 interest. So first we're going to find the interest. So then we're going to add interest to money borrowed. Basically what we're going to do is we are looking for, in step number 2, we will find the total cost of the loan, and then finally step number 3, we're going to find monthly payment. So 3 steps for this problem. Let's go ahead and find the interest using our formula. I equals PRT. Okay, so 15,500 is a P. T is 5, and the interest is 0.025. All right, so let's drop it in. I equals 15,500 times 0.025 times 5. Total interest paid over the life of this loan over 5 years is $1,937. All right, so that's the first part. Now we need to find the total cost of this loan, which is over time, in 5 years, we will repay $15,500 plus the interest that is owed. Okay, so here we're going to add 15,500 plus 1,937. So the total cost of this loan is 17,000. So we have 17,447. 17,437 is the total amount of loan. And then to find the monthly payment, this is going to be a little bit tricky because we need to calculate how many months are in 5 years. And then we will take our $17,437 and divide by that many months. So 5 years equals 60 months. Because there's 12 months in a year, so you do 5 times 12, 60 months. So in order for us to find the monthly payment, we will take our 17,437 divide by 60 months, and the monthly payment is $290.62. $290.62. All right, and that concludes our lesson 6.4. Thank you for watching.